Welcome to the Dali Museum's 10th building anniversary and for our second special lecture, this time by our Associate Director of Visitor Experience, Kayla Dorsey. Kayla is going to be talking to us a little bit about our museum building, as it is the building's birthday. It's a great time for us to learn a little bit more. And as we have been doing all day today for our anniversary, we'd like to share with you some wishes from our wish tree that relate to the theme of this talk. In a large way, this building is about place. It's about shelter. It's about having a home for these amazing works of art that we can then share with people around us. And those who have come to visit our museum have shared some similar wishes. We have, I wish to own my house I live in now. I wish for a good life and a good house for my best friend and I. Find a place in 2020. I hope they did that. I wish for a new home to keep homeschooling. Peace, love, happiness, and a house. I like that one with emphasis. And then other people want to go a little bit bigger than just the dwelling, and they want to find a larger place, as we found our place here in St. Pete. I want to live in Paris. I want to move to St. Pete. Good choice. I want to live in this beautiful city. And then others want to go bigger still and think about the world that we're living in. I want to find a solution for climate change. And I wish for many days of sunshine. We wish for many days of sunshine as well here on the Dali Museum and on our great building. And now I'm going to invite Kayla up to share with you a little bit about our building's history and some of the little known facts that make it super cool. Welcome, Kayla.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me for this chat today. We're just going to talk about our fabulous building here, as Kim said, and I thank you again for joining us. Cheers to 10 years. It's been a whole decade. We moved here with growth in mind, and we've definitely continued to grow, and it's just fantastic to see us 10 years later celebrating. Just a reminder that anytime you visit the building, but especially today as well, post your Dali architecture photos on our social media and tag us. This is our handle at Dali Museum on Instagram. I definitely look through that tag personally, so I love to see those. I include this photo because it's a great one. Dr. Hank Hind here, our executive director, looks super happy. And this is our grand opening on that very special day, January 11th, 2011, at 11:11 a.m. And this is our building. This is what I'm here to talk about. This is the new Dali building that opened in St. Petersburg, Florida. Why did we build it? We already had a home. Why move? Well, again, about that growth thing, part of it is that we are continually growing as a museum, adding more programs, and it's just fantastic to see that and cement our place even further within the community that we serve. Another major reason, and the primary reason in the beginning, is because we live in Florida. And every Floridian knows we have hurricane season. Go to Publix, we stock up. We as a museum realized that we needed to do some of that action as well. And that was the principal reason for our new museum, was for the security of the collection. So as Kim mentioned, it's for safety and security for our home of our art pieces. So first, before I get into it, I want to thank and show off the people who made this happen and continue to preserve it. We have our construction team from HOK, Jan Weymouth, in the middle there, looking very regal. We have Peter Arendt, Wilson Miller, and the Beck Group, so thank you. Jan Weymouth was IMP's chief of design on both the Grand Louvre project in Paris and the East Wing of the National Gallery in Washington, D.C. Our owner's representative, Peter Arendt, who coordinated the construction. He has past projects that include the Modern Museum of Art in Fort Worth, Texas, as well as one of my faves, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum in Cleveland, Ohio. And then, of course, the concrete pouring team from Hidalgo, Mexico. We thank them. And currently, our building is maintained by our Director of Facilities, my colleague Brian Isofano, and his team for maximum efficiency and savings. And our Dali Garden team, of course, is run by our Director of Security and Grounds, Dave Portilla, Gus Vargas, our groundskeeper. And we couldn't do it without the many volunteers that help us, including Cindy Bokoff, who was our Volunteer of the Year for 2018, and Ken Ford. So just want to point them out specifically. Thank you. All right, so the cost of our project and construction was a whopping $36.5 million. And we got contributions from the state of Florida, Pinellas County, the city of St. Petersburg, and private donations as well. The space, it grew twice the size of our previous 30,000 square feet facility. So now we have 66,450 square feet. It still doesn't even quite feel like enough sometimes to contain all of our ideas and creativity here, but it doubled our gallery space. Some of the architectural features that I want to point out. First, it's an homage to the Teatro Museo Dali's key feature, the geodesic dome. And a little fun fact, the artist is actually, in a very surreal way, buried under this structure at his museum in Spain. And this was major that we have something that related back to that from Eleanor Morse's primary vision. So her wish was that in this new structure during the construction process was that we would have a geodesic feature. And this is ours. We have some fun names that we call them. The jewel box is our bunker, the concrete structure, the more rational side. And then the more irrational side is our enigma. A lot of kids say it's kind of fun that visit students say that's someone hugging our building. Some people like to think that's Gala. And then some people see some more provocative images. So I'll leave that totally to your imagination. So again, that 60,000 square foot museum consists of a 58-foot tall concrete box with two glazed glass structures melting over it. The enigma here stands at 75.5 feet tall. This is a fun dinner word, first of all. If you're ever at a dinner party, this is one of those words you can whip out and seem super smart. This is a tessellation. A tessellation is a collection of plane triangles that fill the plane with no overlaps or gaps. This is what makes up our enigma. We have over 1,000 glass panels that make up the geodesic structure that achieves a spherical curve with structurally rigid triangular elements. And each one's different. So every single one is different and unique in its own way. We were the first example in the Western Hemisphere of Novum's glaze-free form structural and edge-clamped glass system. So we really like being the first. We really like being innovative. One of those ways is merging technology and art. And this is kind of how we made this happen with the shape of the glass. So it was created by computer algorithms just to maximize glass and minimize load. And a little lesser talked about on our architecture tours here is that the freeform system is framed by 3,000 steel pieces, much like the glass. Each of these are a unique size as well. We have a low E coating on the glass to help filter out those harmful UV rays, and also allows a lot of natural light to come in. So in addition, there's argon gas that's in that space in between. That also helps filter out those UV rays. And that is really important here in Florida because it reflects the heat during the summer and keeps the heat in during the winter. The jewel box bunker, 18-inch thick walls. These were poured in place. So there was a structure of concrete that was poured over 1,000 tons of reinforcing steel that makes us Category 5 resistant. So again, going back to the why we built this building in the first place, it's for that safety of our collection. Our jewel box bunker, the concrete is Category 5 resistant, and our glass structures are Category 3. And this is kind of what the vision was. It's the rational meeting the conscious and the more intuitive. It's surprising. From one angle, it looks like a concrete box. From another angle, it's like a glass igloo. So we deliberately expose these unfinished faces of the concrete to create kind of that raw appearance and to allow it to be tough in contrast to the glass. So this is, again, that team from Hidalgo, Mexico. Thank you again. They are doing the rebar. They're managing the pour-in-place self-consolidating concrete project to prevent the rebar congestion, which was one of our major concerns in the construction process. 10,000 yards of concrete was used for this, and you can see it's quite an involved process. 97% of recycled steel was used for the 1,000 tons or 220 miles of the reinforced rebar. So that's another part of the construction process. All right, moving on to one of my favorite pieces here at the museum is the Helical Staircase. This is the turbine of the museum. It's directly in the center of the building. This is the thing that all the visitors get the wide eyes and we hear the oohs and the ahs for. This is, of course, inspired by Dali's interest in the double helix shape of the DNA molecule. So for Dali, quite interesting science, and the discovery of DNA and the atom proved that there was a higher existence. It was very important to him in his work. It is 56 foot high, and it's all concrete. It has 63 steps, which is one of the fun facts that on student tours they really take away with. They can quote, there's 63 steps on our staircase. The base of the staircase, which is our app and information station, has a 22-foot diameter as well. So, fun fact, it's a continuous handrail. So this handrail is what is called a Mobius strip. So it's one continuous side. If you place your hand on the handrail, you'd be able to walk all the way down it without having to lift your hand up. All right, so the contrast doesn't stop from the exterior of the building. It's also reflected on the interior of the building. As you can see here, this is our galleries. So to the left here is our Tom and Mary James wing, and to the right is our Huff Gallery. The permanent collection, which is in the Tom and Mary James wing to the left, has carpet, it's wood tones, it's a little bit more warmth, kind of showing we're welcoming you into our home. And then on the flip side, we have that contrasted with the more modern and contemporary feel of the Huff Gallery that has these polished concrete floors, and it also allows us to manipulate the space in any way that we see fit for special exhibitions that we may have. In our permanent collection, there's light cannons or skylights that allow that natural light, making use of that as we can to illuminate our monumental canvases. So sustainability and green strategies. This is an important feature of our museum. It's something we really take quite seriously, and it starts from the outside in. So for landscaping, we have, of course, we're in Florida, so we have native plants, and they require minimal water. There's also reclaimed water that we use for irrigation, river rock in lieu of grass in the Labyrinth, again, to cut down on that water. And we rescued the wish tree. It's a ficus tree that survived Hurricane Andrew. We have natural limestone boulders in lieu of concrete walls, LED light fixtures that are all throughout the outside of the museum, as well as the inside of the museum. Cut stone benches rather than buying assembled, living green walls to insulate and cool western exposure, plus it looks super neat, and drip irrigation for low volume watering. So as I mentioned, water efficiency goes even further. We have fixtures throughout the museum to help with this, one of which that saves approximately 750,000 gallons of water a year. It's by our air handlers. The condensation runoff is recycled back into our cooling system. For energy and atmosphere, we have solar water heaters. We also have the building itself shaped to enclose maximum volume and economize that energy, optimize insulation. And all the lighting systems are kind of timed and on an automation system. This is especially fun when you're reading a very in-depth research article and sometimes the lights will go kaputs and you know, okay, I need to get up and take a walk at your office. The Enigma also serves as a lighting source during the day, again, maximizing whatever is natural to Florida to reflect in, and that means less electricity. And we also have a climate control system to reduce waste and increase our efficiency. Most of our materials that we could be recycled, we used. So our concrete, the rebar, structural steel, We have our carpet ceiling panels, anything that we could use that was recycled content we used in our material process of construction. This I just wanted to personally include. This was from a very happy visitor who, again, they love the dome glass. The staircase, the helical staircase, was their favorite, and they could even recollect how many steps it had. Quite fun. All right, so moving on to the outside again, we have that irrational sense of architecture, this 20-foot tall man-made boulder, which kind of appears to be holding up the building. Another reference to Dali and the work that he does. We have symbols in his art that our curator of education, Peter Tush, could talk more about, with holding up the building, much like a crutch would in one of Dali's paintings. Graham Booth, landscape architects, collaborated with Jan Weymouth on this design. This is such a cool pic. It reminds me of Jurassic Park, but this is when you first walk up and before you're getting into our doors of the museum to go to admissions and scan your ticket. This is the subterranean grotto entrance. It already from the beginning signals that shift from the ordinary, that outside concrete building, into the extraordinary. So what is a grotto? A grotto is a type of cave that's associated with use by humans. It's usually some water near the cave. Ours is filled with shade, of course, fabulous plants, pooling water, and when we're really lucky, baby ducks. The living wall it consists of bromeliads and epiphytes growing on the wall rather than on the ground. Very surreal. It's just that hint that, again, you're about to enter a museum that defies expectations. And of course, we have some shout outs to Dali and the symbols in his work, including ants and praying mantises that are now in our grotto. The signature at the entrance, just like pointing this out, it's a continuity between the older museum building and our current Dali Museum. So as you can see, very similar. Our garden is a work of art in itself. There is lots of fun photo opportunities we'll talk about, but really we wanted it to reflect the landscape that was in Dali's work. Dali declared that his Catalan home was by far the most beautiful place in the world, and we want our garden to be the most beautiful garden. So the 1,200 tons of rock surrounding the garden is Florida limestone quarried, but actually at Lake Okeechobee here in Florida. It's designed to evoke the rocky shore of Dali's Mediterranean home. So we're trying to mirror that image of what you would see if you went to the museum, what you would see in Spain. So he considered the rocks and cliffs of the Costa Brava as the very essence of his identity at home. We want that to be a part of our identity as well. And this is fun. This is the pegmatite rock that was given by the Catalan government. And in the background, you can see Kevin Brady's surreal green St. Pete melting clock bench, which is one of the very fun photo ops. Another great photo op. This is made of Corten steel. It's 17 feet tribute to Dali's iconic mustache, which is how a lot of visitors recognize Dali. And it's by a Tampa Bay artist, Donald Gialinella. We also have incorporated math into our garden. So the golden ratio, Dali was a big fan for using in his composition. And Fibonacci sequence, which is naturally found in a lot of the plants throughout the garden. So that's spiral growth, and you can see that kind of here in the yellow flower especially. We also have pi, phi, Fibonacci sequence, and the golden ratio, again, all throughout our garden. So those are fun treats. And our labyrinth and wish tree. Our labyrinth is lined with 7-foot tall walls of solid podocarpus shrubs. The shape is inspired by the Chartres Cathedral labyrinth, so that's what that looks like, the Chartres labyrinth in Paris. It's unicursal. That means there's no wrong turns. So much like here at the museum, even if you don't know where you're going, wherever you'll end up, we hope that you'll enjoy and delight. There's not necessarily a wrong turn here at the museum, and you'll leave with more knowledge than when you arrived. This is our wish tree. The wish tree has roots in Hindu and Scottish traditions. It's essentially a tangible expression of all our fondest hopes, which Kim was kind enough to share a few. I personally read and transcribe those as well. It can be everything from the heartbreaking, the super inspiring, to the funny. Some of my favorites have been that I wish to have a pet ocelot as well, and I wish we got McDonald's after this. So those are some of my favorites. And just to conclude, end on a really high note, this is an example of the wish tree's effect on our visitors here, particularly our younger visitors. That's really fun. I definitely recommend you doing that. We do read those and we use those for different events throughout the museum. So to end this with, thank you very much again for joining me. Have fun. I'm proud to be a part of the Dali Museum. It should be, you should be proud to be a visitor here. It's a city landmark and a landmark city. And so we are grateful to be here and thank you.